The poor state of the LDS singles program. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints maintains two programs for single adults: the Young Single Adult, or YSA program, and the Single Adult program. The main distinction between them is age. Until 2024, the YSA program served adults ages 18 to 31. That year, the upper limit was raised to 35. Correspondingly, the Single Adult program, previously for those over 31, now serves those 36 and older. I first became aware of the Single Adult program around age 18. A young man who had aged out of the YSA program wanted to continue attending its activities. He was roughly 31 or slightly older. The YSA leadership treated his presence as a significant problem and worked to exclude him. At the time, in the late 1990s, I saw no problem with him continuing to attend. But looking back, I still dislike how he was treated. It was clear he risked disengaging from church activity because he no longer felt he belonged outside the YSA ward. I now also understand why he resisted moving into the older single adult program. This paper examines some of the reasons many people avoid it. Few other faiths organize single adult ministries on the same scale as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Some congregations form singles groups, often divided by age. But the LDS YSA program is far more structured and extensive. Its primary purpose is to help young adults meet and eventually marry. While some members may dispute that characterization, church policy makes the intent clear. Once a person marries, they may no longer attend YSA wards or activities. The church invests heavily in the YSA program. Wherever a sufficient concentration of young single adults exists, special YSA wards are created, often by drawing members from multiple surrounding stakes. A stake, for those unfamiliar with the term, is an administrative unit roughly analogous to a diocese, and the word origin is that of a tent stake. In some areas, a single YSA ward covers the territory of several stakes. Participants have access to institute classes, dances, firesides, regional activities, conferences, and numerous other organized events. Substantial time, energy, and resources are devoted to young single adults. The older single adult program stands in sharp contrast. Outside of places such as Utah, Idaho, or parts of California, organization is often minimal. Most older single adults attend regular family wards and must rely on flyers or local leaders for notice of occasional activities. They are excluded from YSA wards, institute classes, and most YSA events. Dedicated single adult wards are rare. Activities, when they occur, are typically organized only at the stake level, frequently with little or no budget, and attendance is usually poor. Geography contributes to the problem. A YSA ward may serve an entire metropolitan area, while the single adult program is often limited to a much smaller portion of the same region. Attendance suffers as a result. The quality and frequency of activities also depend heavily on whether the local stake president regards the program as a priority. When he does not, little happens. Another major difficulty is the wide age range within the program. It is common for people in their 30s to attend the same activities as people in their 70s. The only shared characteristic is unmarried status. Consequently, participants often have very different life goals. Younger members may hope to marry or remarry. Older participants may simply seek companionship or conversation. The mismatch in expectations and interests is substantial. Activities themselves are frequently uninspiring because of limited budgets and weak planning. Many consist of board games, charades, or other low-effort gatherings held in classrooms or cultural halls. When a lesson is offered, it often amounts to reading a general conference talk aloud. Personally, I would rather study scripture or the teachings of past prophets than sit through a self-explanatory conference address. Some of these meetings are so tedious that I would honestly prefer hitting my hand with a hammer. In every state where I have lived, the singles program has been treated as an afterthought. Stakes routinely provide minimal support, leadership, resources, funding, or oversight. Activities therefore lack organization and direction. Single adults are largely left to solve their own problems with little institutional help. Because most church leaders are married, many do not fully grasp the challenges single adults face. They often assume single life is essentially the same as married life, minus a spouse, and that family wards adequately meet single members' needs. In practice, family wards can become sources of alienation rather than belonging. Poor attendance compounds the difficulties. Social opportunities are limited, and large age differences hinder meaningful connection. Over time, attending activities becomes emotionally draining because many participants simply do not feel part of the group. The dances are especially problematic. I disliked YSA dances when I was younger, but single adult dances reach a different level of awkwardness. Small numbers and wide age gaps produce an atmosphere that can feel painfully uncomfortable. Standing in a nearly empty gym with fewer than 30 people of widely varying ages, struggling through forced conversation while everyone feels socially out of place, is often miserable. Whenever possible, I avoid these events. In the past, I would leave a dance and call my recently divorced brother. Talking with him about the difficulties of his divorce proved far more enjoyable. When I avoid many single adult activities, I find social interaction with a group of friends outside the program. We do things we genuinely enjoy and speak openly about the challenges we face. In many ways, these friendships have provided more support and connection than the official singles program ever has. There appears to be significant cognitive dissonance regarding single members at both local and higher levels of church leadership. A general conference talk a few years ago noted that more than half of the church's adult membership was single, a figure that presumably included young single adults. Despite acknowledging this reality, the church has done relatively little to strengthen the singles program or address the needs of older single adults in a substantial way. I have spoken briefly with a couple of general authorities about the issue. One openly conceded that the program was weak. Another conversation was less productive. A friend and I approached a different general authority because my friend believed we should raise our concerns directly. I was reluctant, having already spoken with many local leaders without meaningful results. When we were able to talk to him and explain that the singles program was not helping either of us, his response was essentially that we were not trying hard enough, and his final advice was that we should improve the program ourselves in our local area. That counsel illustrates a recurring disconnect. Ordinary members lack the authority to make fundamental changes to church programs. Unless leaders personally experience the problem, many do not fully understand it. Some have joked that if bishops and stake presidents could themselves be single, the singles program would be redesigned very quickly. I have raised these concerns repeatedly at the stake level. Some leaders listened with sympathy but felt powerless to act. Others seemed indifferent, and a few were openly adversarial, placing the blame on me for my situation. Because the issue does not affect them personally, many leaders show limited interest in addressing it. I do not claim to have a perfect solution. The broad age range within the program makes a one-size-fits-all approach difficult. Still, a few changes could help. First, the church should remove the age restriction on institute classes. People in my situation can attend only evening classes anyway, and I would have no objection to studying alongside older adults. Institute offers a chance to learn gospel topics in a welcoming setting and can foster the sense of belonging many single adults lack. Second, a dedicated single adult council should exist in every church area where feasible. Its purpose would be to identify and address the actual needs of single adults rather than allowing those needs to be overlooked in the stake or ward councils. Such councils should receive a real budget and the authority to organize meaningful programs and activities while still operating under the supervision of local stake leadership, much as regional YSA organizations already do. Third, single adult activities should be organized on a regional scale, similar to YSA activities. It makes little sense that they are confined to much smaller geographic areas than their YSA counterparts. Expanding them regionally would significantly improve attendance and give participants a larger, more viable community. These are only a few suggestions. Meaningful improvement is possible if church leadership begins treating the needs of single adults with greater seriousness. Additional dimensions of the problem remain and will be explored in other essays or videos.